Hello and welcome to episode number 63 of the Product Biz Podcast. My name is Monica Little and I'm your host. And today we are talking about mastering your money mindset to make more sales with special guest Alejandra Rojas. This is such an awesome episode. If you've been listening to the Product Biz Podcast for a while, especially some of the beginning episodes, you know that I place such a huge importance on mindset. A lot of times we can be doing the right things, we can be hustling, we can be burning ourselves out, but the sales still aren't coming. And that's because so many small business owners, so many entrepreneurs are missing the fundamental aspect of your mindset. You can do all the right things, but if your mind isn't in the right place, it's not going to work for you. And that is a fact. And the sooner that you come to realize that, the sooner that these sales will actually start to roll in for you. So I'm super excited to have this special guest coming on to share exactly just that, because she's an expert on this topic. She is so eloquently spoken on this topic, and she's just going to take what you think you know about running a business and turn it literally upside down on its head. So a little bit of Alejandra. She is a finance professional, a coach, a money mindset expert, helping new entrepreneurs to become the most profitable version of themselves using her highly effective models, RICH and MESS. After reaching rock bottom, when money burnout reactivated an old life-threatening sickness, she knew she had to design methods to attract money without losing her life. Ever since, she and her clients are crushing goal after goal in life and business, from traveling, dream weddings, more income, all of that amazing stuff. Alejandra is always on the move, soaking in the beauties of the world. She shares a ton of golden nuggets on her own podcast, Dear Lack, Let's Break Up. And you can find her work in Yahoo Finance, Go Banking Rate, Clever Girl Finance Podcast, and more. This episode is going to be all about what's stopping you from actually seeing the results from all the hard work that you're doing. And you may not know it, and you may not even believe it when you first hear it, but your mindset, your beliefs, your subconscious programming, aka the narratives that you created from absorbing all the information around you at a very young age, can show up in the amount of money or the lack of money that you are making. And until you uncover those beliefs and get to the bottom of it, it can hold you back no matter how hard you work on your business. And if this sounds like something you're experiencing, you're working really, really, really hard, doing all the right things, but where are the sales? This week's episode is going to be a game changer. So let's bring on Alejandra and let's dive in. Well, welcome, Alejandra, to the Product Biz Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a great conversation about money mindset. This is a topic that I am such a big fan of. I am a diehard fan that mindset, especially around money, has to be right in order to really grow and reach your goals. So I'm excited to have you here as an expert on it, because I'm not very well versed in this topic. So let me start with that. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about how you became a money mindset expert, all the details. Let's hear the story.
Yeah. Well, I'm Alejandra Rojas. I'm a finance professional. I want to say that finances are my love language, and numbers certainly are. I have my bachelor's degree and postgraduate and all these academy things on finances. And then how I became a mindset expert, more like focus on mindset, is because my own story. I was working in finances. I know the strategy. Like I say, I love this thing. I know how to make it work for corporations. But then I started to guide entrepreneurs, my friends and all, through for their businesses and my own personal finances to, flourish. And I ended up being burned out and having not such a fun time, compromising my health. And that was when I realized that it was something not quite right, that people were not telling me, like, how come this thing that is money and finances are directly affecting my health, and why? And that was like the moment I put my glasses on investigator. Part of, who I am is really getting understanding. I'm spotting the patterns and why is this happening. And I kind of took that that very serious, and I started to explore with myself. I started to see in other people, and or 1 year or two after doing that, I developed my own method. I understood that, yeah, finances as the way that we understand it, or the way that we have been taught, work perfectly for businesses and for corporations that have no emotions and not a point of view by their own.
Mm.
But for us entrepreneurs, for the business owner, it's a completely different story. And no wonder why I was sick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is such a good background story. I absolutely love it. And I love what you said about finances for big businesses and corporations. No emotion needed, just the numbers, very left brain. But when you think about
Right.
being an entrepreneur and your finances, your mindset, more of the right brain, the creativity, how you view things, how you think
Mm,
things, that's something that really matters. So that,
absolutely.
oh my gosh, I love how you said that. Tell me a little bit more. You said you were burnt out and it affected your health. So was it like you
Yeah.
were overworking and then you got sick and then you started to investigate. So what did you find out when you
Yeah.
did this investigation?
So good, because I was working as a finance manager for a corporate, and I was earning a lot of money, more money than I probably earned my whole life. And at the same time, I was spending a lot. And I have been a person that always have been very mindful of her existence here, because when I was little, I was diagnosed with a health condition, and doctors were like, enjoy her. She's not going to pass 8 years old. They
Wow.
told that to my mom and dad. So
Oh my goodness.
I really was raised in an environment that I became aware that being here, it's a privilege. So with that type of mind, when I was in this work in United States, I kind of, you forget about these things. You're like, I'm living the adultish life, and I was going for the next mile. Like, how much money do I have to earn? What do I have to have? What are the experiences and things that I have to have? And I completely forgot about what is important until my body just gave up. So I didn't know I wasn't burned out, because, I will arrive to my apartment. I will say, I'm just tired. Like, tomorrow is going to pass by. Like, sometimes I will stay at the office at 2 a.m. finishing stuff. And then,
Wow.
yeah, during the weekend, I will have a rest. I was just trying to fool myself. But my body just gave up. So one time going to the office, I fainted at the bus. I never fainted in my life, not before,
Wow.
not after. And I started to see the purple spots on my body. So that's the way I have to get, like, that's the way my body communicates with with me, like something is going wrong, because these purple spots are like signs that the health condition that I experienced before was reappearing.
Wow.
So to me, that was like, I cannot do that. Like, I love what I do in terms of, I love finances. I love the position that I am right now, because I get to live by myself. I get to do all these things, but I'm not going to lose myself because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment was very confrontating for me, but also because I really love finances and really love to understand the financial system and people in general. I took it as a challenge. I was like, wait, it cannot be that what I really feel like I love to do would take my health away.
Mm.
Maybe for other people, that's like, you know what, I'm going to change careers, I'm going to do whatever. To me, it was more like, I'm going to figure this shit out, because if somebody can, it's me.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I started to put myself on that position, and I started to really be mindful about it. I also traveled from countries. So I moved from United States to New Zealand, and being in a different environment really gave me a different perspective. And that's when I really understood I have a privilege here, because of what happened to me when I was growing up. I know when I need to stop. I
Wow.
really know what is going to be the road that I'm not going across again. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is such an interesting story to hear what happened. And it's crazy how sometimes we have these things that happen to us, usually our body in some way giving us a huge wake up call, right? And I
Yep.
had a very similar situation happen to me. This was probably 2 years ago now. I was running my own business, co owning 3 retail stores with a business partner, also running a coaching program with that business partner. So I was burnt out to maximum capacity, but I didn't even know. I was like, this is great. This is fun, doing all these great things, running my own businesses, have all these awesome things happening. And then one
Yeah.
day I woke up and my side hurt so bad. I went to the emergency room. I thought it was my liver or my gallbladder or my appendix, and they couldn't find out what it was. All of the tests were fine. They're like, oh, your blood test is good. Ultrasound shows nothing. CT scan shows nothing. So go ahead and go home. I'm like, okay, but I can't walk. I can't talk because it hurts my stomach. I can't eat. I can't laugh. I can't sit in a car because every time we went over a pothole, I was in such bad pain. And then I started working with a naturopath, and he found out it was endometriosis, which is basically where you have like uterus cells in other parts of your body. So when you have cramps, they also cramp in other
Right.
places. And what he told me was, he's like, it's stress. He goes, stress and managing stress is the only way to calm these flare-ups so you don't have this intense pain.
Wow.
So for me, looking back, I'm like, I was doing so much, but my body gave me that wake up call of hold up, Monica. You're trying to do a lot right now. If you're going to keep doing this for the next 2 years, it's going to be way worse than what I'm showing you right now. So isn't it just crazy how that
Yeah.
happens? So
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And it's like now that I study and understand the connection of my mind and body, it's just normal that the body is the one that shows you that, because your mind sends all the time signals, right? So if we are in this what is it? Flight and fight mode, it's always your mind sending signals to your body and your body wanting to do something. But the thing is that mind is not feeling how tired the body is. Mind cannot read that. It just sends
Mm-hmm.
signals over and over and over again. So body, if it's that disconnection, is like, okay, dude, I'm going to get sick because you're not listening to me. And that's when
Yeah.
we just feel it. It makes so much sense. And stress, oh God. I mean, we can talk about all this and all, like, I love this topic because people don't understand that in order for you to have a business, you have to have yourself first.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
just like, it's like, okay, but if you're burning yourself out, if you're stressing, if you're just running for the next thing or running in this wheel of, I'm going to make the 10,000 K, I don't know, whatever the amount is, right? I'm just going to do it one more day, but you're still ignoring yourself and how you're feeling and your well-being. Is like, maybe tomorrow it's not a fact that you are here, and so how that plays out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So beautifully said. So tell me a little bit more, because I love what you said. This was also very interesting, how the mind will give signals to the body, but the body maybe doesn't necessarily give signals back to the mind. It's kind of like this one-way street, but the body will then show everything that the mind is kind of working through, right? So your story, my
Right.
story, I think are perfect examples. So what do you recommend for people when we kind of talk about money mindset? So we both had some like major wake-up calls. Tell me more about what that led for you. I know you said you dove in for like 2 years and then you created this framework. So what happened afterwards? What are some of those revelations that you found and things that really clicked for you after you had that experience?
Okay. Yes. Oh, there's so many things that I want to say here, but I think it goes by stages. So the first thing that I found is that it depends on what your goal is. Just let's say you want to increase income. Depending on what that vision and goal is, you will need a whole set of strategy, perspective, which is mindset, and emotional toolkit, let's call it. So I thought it's going to be like a one-time formula, and once you figure this out, like, you are done forever. And it's not. It's it's self-development for a reason, because at every stage you are just getting in there and then going to the next one. And what is the next goal going to be? And what are some of those beliefs that comes up and all that? So in my case, I thought that by doing all this, research, let's put it that way, and starting my own business, overcoming my own things, I was ready to hit all the levels. Because again, when you are managing corporations, it's so easy. It's like, okay, we got to this level, then the next level, and the strategy works perfectly. But then I found out that I have so much things coming up when you hit certain amount of money coming in, when you hit certain amount of work, clients, it was so much narratives that I wasn't aware of, that I had to work on that. So it really depends on what you're looking for, what is your stage, and what do you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why coaching is it's a great mechanism for my business, because I really get to sit down with the person and say, okay, tell me what you want right now. It doesn't mean that you have to want the same thing in 3 months. In fact, it's going to change, but we have to start with something so I can really see what are your perspective about that, the meanings, and how you are letting all of that to interfere with the strategy that you are trying to make work.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so give me an example. If you sit down with someone and let's talk about like a product-based business owner who says,
Yeah.
"Hey, over the next 3 months, let's say I want to make $10,000 total." Now, I loved what you said of, okay, what are the narratives and perspectives that come up? But I think maybe the listeners might not know what that means. So,
Yeah.
what type of questions would you ask, and what are some of those narratives that sometimes come up from individuals who have these goals?
Yeah, so the first question I will ask is like, what do you want to make $10,000? What does $10,000 mean to you? Now, the good thing about me being a American person is that $10,000 means absolutely nothing in Colombian pesos. It's like
Mm,
10,000 pesos is like, why do you want that? Like, why not 1 million, right? But these differences on languages and what you understand about a number makes a huge difference. So the first question is, what do you want then? The second question is what you have tried to make that happen. And immediately you're going to answer, well, the strategy, right? I have tried to, I don't know, post 10,000 times on Instagram or whatever it is, right? But my next question will be, but what have you tried in terms of your perspective? What do you believe to be true about $10,000? What do you believe to be true about having right now in your pocket $10,000? And that's when the things open up, because we have been accustomed to see these big goals or numbers goal in social media now. It's like, oh, I hit my 60K or I hit my 50K launch, and it's all good. First of all, from a financial perspective, it doesn't mean that you have that money. Just to put it out there, 60K is not like 60K on my package. 60K is
right.
that you sold 60K, but it doesn't mean that you have profit. In fact, I know a lot of people that even though they made 60K, they still are in minus in profit. But that aside, that's my financial aside coming. On the mindset perspective, you really need to know what that means for you and your business and why you want to get there. Because answering to those three questions are gonna really reveal what do you think about the goal, how do you feel about it, and what are the possible objections coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these objections are very subconscious objections. Here, and when we talk about money mindset, 80% of the things are happening on the subconscious. They are not happening because you want them to happen. You're not thinking about them just because you want to think that way. It's because you have been absorbing all of these narratives, meanings, and understanding since you were born, pretty much.
Yes.
So it's a whole, like, you may think they are simple questions, but no, they hold a lot of wisdom for yourself.
I love the question that you had. I wrote it down. What do you believe to be true about if you make this money, if you don't make this money. And then I love how
Right.
you said these subconscious programming narratives that comes up. So what are some common examples of replies that you hear from people when you ask this question that kind of signals some of those subconscious programming that's happened?
Yes. So the first one, I would say the most common one when I ask, what do you want to make the 10K? It's like, so the answer is like, so I can, know that this is working.
So I can prove it to myself, prove it to
Exactly.
someone so I know
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me
Yeah.
more about
So,
that. So what does that
yeah.
actually signal to you? What does that say?
Yeah. So you can have the answer that way, or you can have the other answer like, because I have to pay bills. Both answers to me hint the same. And if you think about it, when you try to prove something to yourself by having a number, that means that that number doesn't hold truth. Because most of the time, you don't even know how much is costing your business is costing. So for you to tell me that you want to prove through a number that this is working, you have to show me your cost and how much is costing you and how much is costing you, not in platforms or things that you're using, but also your time, your people's time and all that. And I know for a fact that you're not doing that. So what that tells me is that there is a set of beliefs and understandings that links money into proving to yourself, into self-worth, into recognition, and into I don't want to fail. That are the three main ones there. When you immediately throw the money cards like I want 10,000 because I want to make it work, then what he's telling me is like I will ask as a coach, so why do you think it's working? What is there that is making you think that is not working? And often people will say, well, it's not working because I don't see the money. Okay. And then we start going to why you don't see the money. You don't see the money where? You don't see the money coming in, or you don't see the money that you expect coming in, or is it that you are not even pricing? Like, what are we talking about here? Kind of what I do is to break down the elephant. I like to say it. And I hate that because I love elephants. But it's just like, we need to break down what is happening so that we can cut a lot of these automatic responses that only shows your mindset around money. Because money is the guy that we have to blame for, but it never is it most of the time is not a money problem. It's just how you understood something.
Oh my gosh, so good. There's a couple things that you said that really resonated with me. So number one, how you said it can be tied to like self-worth. So I love this because whenever I hear someone saying, I want to reach my goals because I want to prove it to myself, I want to prove it to someone else, I want to prove it to my friends and family, it's like, why do you need to prove anything to anybody? Right?
Right.
What are you trying to prove and why do you need to prove it? And I love how you said underneath the surface, it may be, I want to feel worthy by proving this. So really, it's a self-worth conversation. And why are we putting our monetary goals to prove to ourselves that we are worthy when literally you are worthy of anything that you want right off the bat, right?
Exactly. And the other piece of that information, if we talk about in a business setting and perspective, is that you don't run a business for you. You run a business to serve your customers, right? So if you think and you zoom out of yourself and you put yourself in your customer's shoes, it shouldn't be a conversation about worth. But the way that we have, taught and the way that we have been raised, if you see a mom and a dad being so proud of this little kid walking, say, hey, you did it, show me that you did it, and mom and dad gets all happy, and you see that throughout your whole life, because we see that throughout our whole life. The most natural stuff to do is to do something so somebody can come back and clap like, hey, you did it. If we don't have that, we feel like we are doing something wrong, because what happens when little kid does something wrong? mom and dad don't clap. In fact, they get angry, they get disappointed. So it's a natural response from your brain. It's nothing like what I'm saying here is that it's not that you want to do this on purpose. Again, it's subconscious, but because we have been brought up this way, we now need to understand as a business owners that shit doesn't work. It shouldn't be there
Yeah.
in the first place. So we have to just reteach ourselves whatever is useful and possible to do.
Yes. Oh, such a good conversation. So I love how you said, where does this stem from? Because I think that literally is one of the questions that people need to uncover. Like, okay, I want to reach my goals because I want to prove it to myself or prove it to my friends and family that I can do this. Okay, well, why do you feel like you need to prove it to anyone? What
Right.
do you need to prove and why? And I love what you said of, if you go back to when you were younger, were you congratulated and praised for doing the right thing or having an achievement or reaching a certain goal? And if you think back to like, okay, when can I think of at my absolute youngest age, when was the first time that that happened? Love the examples that you said of mom and dad clapping when a kid does something right versus getting angry when they do something wrong. And this is so interesting because when I think of my childhood, 100% my mom, and she had good intentions,
Right.
she would give me, the only time she would give me like attention and love was when I like got good grades or I cleaned the basement when I was like 5 years old or if I did something good. So as I started to grow up, I started to associate accomplishment means love. If I accomplish something, then I get love. And then that
Right.
trickled into my business. And when I realized that, I was like, holy smokes, I'm chasing after success because I think that that's going to make me worthy for love. And when you really break down your goals and why you're doing things and where it comes from, and you notice that, and then you can be like, okay, that's a little messed up for me to be chasing after success because I think then it means I'm worthy for love. So then for me, it was really understanding like, no, I'm worthy no matter what. If I'm quote unquote successful or quote unquote not successful, then it opens up the
Right.
question on what is success and who's measuring it. It's your own terms, right?
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
be success in terms of showing up every day, doing something outside of your comfort zone, being proud of just how you're showing up and what you're doing instead of the monetary value that has to be there to prove that you're worthy of XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you said that, and I love the last part, the monetary value. What most people don't really see or understand is that it's just that it's monetary value. That if you go to the core of it, by definition of the economy, money is the trust that you have placed on what we see now as a paper or a coin or electronic. It's just the trust. That is the definition of money. So you are telling me that you trust more a bill than your ability to make something.
Mm.
That is like, to me, it's just like, whoa. When I realized that, like, now I'm building a huge massive thing on this on the back end of my own business, a fintech, and I'm very passionate about it. Like, I sit down and I do all these things, and it feels so good just to do it for the fun of it. I
Right.
don't really care how this thing is gonna go. I know it's needed. I see the market. I see the potential, but to the end of it, I just have so much fun with it that is
Yeah.
my indication of success. It wasn't like that 7 years ago when I started, and I had to decondition or reprogram myself from it. But it is a much better place when you understand that the value doesn't come from a monetary value. The value comes from whatever you value, what you understand to be valuable. For me, valuable is my time. It's like I say, I was living somewhere else before here. Value is location freedom for me. Value is to be able to have a conversation with a friend over coffee and understand that what I'm doing really impacts people. Monetary
Mhm.
value is just it's a fact that I'm gonna have it because it's today's economy, so I don't have to think about it. But yeah, once you understand what monetary value really means, then that eases your mind and you understand, oh, yeah, more valuable than the trust that the general people puts in a bill.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. And I love what you said. Two things. Earlier, you said about focusing on the customer. And then you gave that beautiful example of for you, it's not necessarily the success of this program, it's the fun that you're having. And I'm sure the impact that you make in terms of the customers that sign up, that work with you, that you're just so excited about. Nothing at all about
Yeah,
money right there, right? And then the
right,
key is as soon as money is outside of the equation, then money actually starts to come in, which is a beautiful
right,
part. As soon as you
right.
stop fixating on the money, as soon as you fixate on, I want to serve my customers. I love what you said about the customer doesn't care about your goal being XYZ. The customer cares about a great product. And that's what you should be focusing on too. The great
Right.
product and the customer's experience and how can you serve them, but also simultaneously internally changing what we define as success. And this is kind of what I mentioned earlier too. For me, success is, man, did I go outside of my comfort zone today? Did I do
Yeah.
something scary? Did I prove something to myself in terms of what I'm capable of doing? Not in terms of what I'm capable of making monetarily, but in terms of doing something scary, helping people, sharing a message, going outside of my comfort zone. When I wind down at the end of the day, that no matter how much I did or didn't make, I'm like, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what people really need to focus on is the fun, the joy, the customer. Because then what happens is if we have this monetary goal of XYZ $10,000, and like we talked about earlier, then I'll feel worthy, then I'll prove it to whomever. The
Yeah.
crazy thing that happens is once you hit that number, you don't feel any more worthy. And then it's like,
No.
okay, when I make another 10K, when I make 30K, 40K, and then you're chasing after this goal essentially for worthiness, which never gets fulfilled because it's not even a monetary problem. It's a worthiness conversation. And then
Yeah.
you're chasing
Yeah.
after this never ending goalpost. And that's when people start to, I don't know what happens at that point. Hopefully you have a revelation and you're like, something's not working,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened for me when I had these big goals and I shared my story about like my mom and some of that conditioning. I remember when I hit my very first goal, it actually was really challenging for me because I was like, wow, I don't feel any different. I thought when I would hit this goal, I would be happier, I would be excited, I would be joyous. And sure, maybe for like an hour, I was like excited. But then I was like,
Right.
I'm the same person that I've always been. I haven't changed. Nothing about me has changed. I placed all this emphasis on this goal. I hit this goal, and now what?
And now
So
what?
yeah, so
Yeah.
if you don't go underneath the surface, that's like one of the most defeating things right there is to reach a goal. And of course, you're grateful for it, but then you realize that that goal didn't even matter and you place so much importance on it. And then nothing changed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's different. It's always interesting to have the conversation with two different people, the one that has never hit that goal before and the one that has been there and surpassed that and it's still the same underlying feelings. I have one client that had the same situation both times. He was feeling that way, very anxious, very like chaotic with money when he was making $1,000. And he still was making $10,000. We stopped working because he was like, "Oh, I figured this out, and I don't need that." And then 3 years later, now he's making $10,000, and it's still the same underlying feelings. I point him out and said, "You know." These are the same exact feelings that we discussed 3 years ago, right? And he was like, "Yes, I know, but I thought I just needed this to increase the income." And I'm like, no. And this is something that people really needs to understand. You don't do money mindset only to increase income. It's a part of it. But really what gets you to increase income is understanding the stages of your business to increase income, like pricing, like cost variables and your mind around that. That's what gets you to increase income. But the real money mindset work is in how you feel and how you go about money. It has nothing to do because you have all the potential to make money. As long as you are opening the doors of abundance, which are your prices and selling, you have all the potential to do it, but the way that you feel and those reactions, that is the money mindset. That is the real money mindset and relationship with money.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So tell me a little bit more about that, the reactions, how you feel. So if I were to give you an example of someone, and maybe it's something we already talked about, but if I were to give you an example of someone who's really working on their business, really trying to make things happen, and they're just not hitting the goals, monetary goals that they want, and they're feeling a little defeated. They're feeling a little bit just like they're hitting their head against the wall, doing things
Yeah.
that aren't bringing them the results that they want. What on like the money mindset side, in terms of how they feel, the reactions they're having, what would you maybe point out, or what type of conversations or what trends have you seen with people who are going through something like that?
Okay, let me put this in a very real example. And if you're hearing this, it's one client of mine. I love her to death, but she's a perfect example. So she gets an underlying belief that being productive and being able to hit your goals means that you have to work very hard, very, very hard. And she's a person that you will see her working at 1 a.m. and she just goes for it every single time, right? When she came to me, the first thing that I did, because she explained that, like, listen, I'm working amount of hours, I'm trying to do everything, I just don't see the money. The first thing that we did, I went into reviewing her pricing. Okay, you're doing all of this amount of work, working insane amount of hours, but you're underselling yourself. You're underpricing. Why is that? And the first set of beliefs come out. Well, I don't know. I'm just a star. I just want to make the sale. I just want to, right? So a product that could have been priced for 3 times as much as she was selling, she couldn't deliver that price. And that was the first strategic mental and emotional release, because it was a lot of emotion attached to being able to deliver the product that she was doing for the price that was right for her. With that, we opened the doors for more things to happen. We did that, I think, in 2 sessions. We clear. I do a lot of RRT. I'm sure you have heard about it because of Jill as well, but I love Dr. Connolly as well with RRT. So I took one of his courses. I use it a lot, and the good thing about RT is that in one session you can clear a lot. So I use that. We clear that emotional response. Turns out that the way that she was brought up was that if you ask for, and it was interesting, was a specific number in her culture, products that are go beyond 25 euros, they have to have certain characteristics that she couldn't recognize on her product. So subconsciously, she was always under the 25. And I'm like, I get you. But that is just how it was back then. And how it was like probably 50 years ago. You have a digital product. You are mostly selling to United States. Why are you getting trapped on this? So we clear all that up. The emotional attachment was gone. We changed the perspective and the strategy we adjusted. So we are going to try this, and that. Immediately, 2 sessions after, income went up. Now, when income went up, and that was not the problem, the second thing came up, like feeling like, oh, I don't know about this. Is it going to last? Am I going to have enough? And these older, all the wonderful things about money and mindset that comes around. But that's the process. And then that's why I designed the programs to be like 3 months long. So I have time to see all that, and touch the different, what I call the different stages of you increasing your income in a sustainable way. Because the moment I leave you, like in that second stage where you now see that is possible when you have adjusted your price is the moment that we really need to dive deeper into how we can make this sustainable, because your brain is so smart. Like, brain is the smartest thing that you have as a human being. It's going to be like, oh yeah, this was nice for a month or two, but remember that that's not real for you. Remember
Mm.
that that's not really how it works. So the moment that something comes, an objection or a client rejection, or that you have to make like give a refund or something like that, things that happen on business because they happen, um you if you are not ready and you're not prepared, that most likely will throw you off again to a spinning circle. And we need
Yeah.
time, and we need time to adjust to a new routine, a new habit, new understandings. And I need time for you to understand that everything can be challenged. So again, we come back to what we talked before. What are your goals? What is your vision? Where you want to go? And with that, we start upgrading, let's call it, or reprogramming what it's on the back end of your mind with money.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And there's a couple things I want to add on to what you said. But first, can you explain what RRT is, like the 2 minute version? Because I have a couple friends that I've heard about it from, but I haven't talked about it on the podcast. So let me know,
Okay.
let the listeners know what RRT is.
Yeah, so rapid resolution technique is a therapy, not technique, sorry. A rapid resolution therapy is a therapy that Dr. Connelly develops a framework. What really is, and how I like to put it, it's a way of communicating with subconscious mind to help clear trauma. And I'm certified on financial trauma. So for me, that's a big thing, because I know we cannot get to adapt to new habits. And I know I won't get anywhere with you if you are acting from a trauma response. If
Mm-hmm.
your nervous system is activated, and if I'm talking to your conscious mind but not getting into your subconscious mind, I won't get that far on my work. And it's my job, and the RRT wall says is it's our job to get you better. I don't really will tell you, hey, well, you couldn't get this thing right of money because of you. That's my job as a practitioner, to get you better. And then RRT will help me to get there, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
way of communication. It's just a factual, science based way of communication that brain really loves, because when you put it to simple place, um, it's either, am I in danger because I'm gonna die, or I'm not? If I'm not, then let's reprogram that, because it's probably something that somebody made up that worked for that person, but it's not working for you.
Yeah.
And then we change it around.
Okay, love it. Thank you for the explanation. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it. Cool. And then I love what you said too, that example of with that person, the money mindset showed up kind of in a sneaky way with their pricing and
Yeah.
underpricing. And so that really uncovered maybe some worthiness. Am I worthy of charging this higher price? Or maybe even fear of people not buying it because it's at
Yeah.
this higher price. So again, it goes back to, even though it sounds like a conscious topic like pricing, it's actually all these subconscious beliefs underneath it that lead to this type of conversation, which is crazy when you start to connect the dots and see how this
Yes.
really comes to life. Now, one thing I want to ask you is, some people have goals or are running a business, but might not even believe that it's possible. How
Mm-hmm.
does that impact them?
Oh, I mean, I have two answers for that. One, I can only believe on what you're telling me to be truth for yourself. So if you're telling me that you want to hit 10K and you're giving me the reasons, who am I to tell you you don't believe in that, so you're not going to get there? I only can work with what you give me. It's your job to be really feel how that goal feels. And if you don't believe in that, what happens when you don't believe in something is that you have to work even harder with your subconscious to make it happen. When we believe that we wake up and go to the bathroom to do to brush our teeth, we believe that that's going to happen. So we most likely are going to repeat it doing it because we believe, then we do, then we know. And that's how we understand and that's how we learn, right? If you don't believe that something is going to happen, and if mind perceive it as something far away that never is going to happen, then it won't even start the first step. Then you won't know. You don't have any way to know. Therefore you won't learn how to do it. So that's the thing of belief. But again, I really cannot tell if you believe on it or not. You are the only one who can make that call.
Yeah.
But let's say that you outspokenly said, I don't believe that that is possible for me, but I want to try it. Now I challenge that, and I want to make something that you believe is possible, it's doable, it's possible to have, and it's doable, and it will be useful to have done, which is another RRT concept. So maybe it's a stretch from what you have experienced before. So we leverage from there. But if it is not useful to have been done or to useful for your business, for your vision, and mind perceive it like impossible, you're never gonna get there because there are a thousand other things more useful and more possible to do that again your smart brain are gonna say, well, let's do that, or
Yeah.
let's do the other thing, or like, it's sunny outside, why we don't go outside, right? And you never do it. So it's not that I don't really see the ability and the capacity for you to make that goal. Again, everybody can make the goal that they want to make. It's that I know your brain has wise ways to shine the other thing, because it perceives it to be more useful and doable.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have a more chances of survival, which is what it cares about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. And I think about it too in the way of maybe even staying in your comfort zone. I think some people will want these goals, but maybe, like you said, subconsciously, the brain, it's going to start telling you it's not possible because the brain doesn't want you to leave your comfort zone. If you
Right.
truly believe this big, crazy goal that you have is possible, you're going to do the things that are required. But if your brain wants you to stay where you are, nice and cozy, and what you've always been doing, your brain is going to be like, no, 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 that's not possible. Just, forget about it. Now's not the time. Maybe next year. You have no proof. Nothing's working yet. So
Right.
your brain is going to like trick you. So what do you say to someone who's trying to increase their believability in their goals? Because I agree with you 100%. Anything is possible. When we talk about small business owners hitting their first 6 figures, I'm like, I think any small business owner can hit 6 figures. It's easy. It takes discipline, focus, belief in yourself, going outside of your comfort zone, easy peasy. So when someone really is struggling with believing that it's possible, what are either some words of advice or how would you walk someone through that situation?
Yeah, first, if you are struggling, I strongly suggest that you find somebody that can guide you through it, because what happens is that you are already in your nervous system is activated. So when your nervous system is activated, you cannot see the opportunities and you cannot see the what is there for you to make it work, right? So finding that person, coaching, or a good friend that has a business or whatever it is, finding somebody that is not you in your mind, it's gonna be key. But second, I don't need you to go and run the 10K if you have never run before. All that I need you to do is to stretch a little bit that. If today you have never run and you want to run a 10K, just go for 10 minutes run, right? Is it doable for you? Yes, you have shoes, you have like the place to go. Okay. Does it stretch you a little bit? Yes, that is it stretches what I know to be true. Okay. Will that feel good to have done? Yes, because that means that now you have conquered 10 minutes out of the 10K. Look at that. It's great. Okay, just do it, right? So there is two parts of on this answer. Number one, You need somebody that can have the clarity that the goal is possible. So your brain is feeding from, okay, it's possible. I know it's possible. And that's why a lot of social media, you get, attached to a lot of social media, because your brain wants, like, oh, I want that. I know it's possible. If somebody is showing me that it's possible, I want that too. But number two, for you to make it happen, and or for you to embody it, let's call it that way, use a little bit of manifestation language here, for you to embody that, it's important that you understand that the way that you can embody is by doing something that stretches you a little bit, and that will feel good to have done it, even though that you think about it and say, but does it feel good? If you imagine yourself have done it, does it feel good? Yes. Is it possible to do it? Yes. So just go and try it out.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Just building belief in yourself with those baby steps, those small stretch goals. And then it's going to accumulate and it's going to snowball and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then before you know it, cool, that goal that you have is believable. Love
Yeah.
that so much. Oh, amazing. Well, Alejandra, this has been such a great conversation. So much good knowledge. You have just so much insight on this. So I want to say thank you so much. And I want to end with you just sharing where people can find you, your programs, what you offer, anything along those lines that you want to share.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. You can find me on Instagram at the Money Mindset Expert, or in my podcast at the Money Mindset Show. You can, yeah, I love, in the moment, I'm just in the flow for the podcast. So that's probably where you're going to find me. And we got all sort of varieties of programs at the Money Mindset Hub. If you go to themoneymindset.hub.com, you're going to see programs to increase income, better your relationship with money, and you're going to see a very good reprogramming of mind through pricing, because of what we said. Pricing is probably the most underestimated fact of money and business, but is what it gets you the farther away in such a quick time. I think it's each audio to reprogram mind is under 20 minutes, because that's all that we need, and you can start there.
Awesome. I'll make sure to link that in the show notes so people can find you and check out those amazing resources. And I just want to end with saying thank you again so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.